FC26 has only been out for a week, but I've somehow already racked up over 100 hours on the game. So today I'm giving you my honest review of career mode, and if it's even worth the £70 that you're spending. We're gonna go through 5 points in this video, which are the new features, the gameplay, things you didn't know, unfixed bugs, and what's missing from the game. So up first, new features, and we'll start with career mode live, which in my opinion is one of the biggest wastes of time that EA have ever produced for career mode. Now, I think the idea sounded fun, you know, cool challenges and you get rewards. But the challenges that they've created for career mode live are just not interesting or cool at all. Stuff like off to a flyer, win 5 matches in starting league. Or European elites, which just means you have to get into the top 4 in one of the 5 major leagues. Or stuff like the Zlatan Ibrahimovic challenge, which is just win Liga and score a bunch of goals. I think these challenges are way too basic, and then the rewards, which are USA retro kits, PSG retro kits. First of all, a lot of the challenges give you the same kit as the reward. And second of all, these kits, you don't even get them in career mode. These are rewards for Ultimate Team, so you get the Paris retro kit in Ultimate Team. So if you're someone who only plays career mode, this reward is literally nothing to you. You might as well not get it because you can't use it in career mode. I also just think, yes, the idea was cool, but did anyone really ask for this? We can all set our own challenges, because you can set your own challenges with career mode anyway, kind of in your head, and just follow them throughout your save. And I think you and me can get a lot more creative than EA have done here. So I think career mode live as a new feature, just unnecessary. And I don't think it's been done well. And then the second main feature of FC26, obviously the manager market, which I am actually a big fan of. Now this is in my Man United career mode, which I do on stream, and we're 5 seasons deep here, and as you can see, there is actually a lot of chop and change. You can see Oliver Glasner at Chelsea. Some of them are a bit more unrealistic, like Diego Simeone at Crystal Palace, but you've got Enzo Maresca at Arsenal. But not everyone moves on. You can see Arne Slot still at Liverpool because he has just won the league 3 times in a row on my save. So if they do well, they do just keep their job. It's not like they all get changed for the sake of it. But the change also brings real change to the clubs. For example, Thomas Frank was at Arsenal before Enzo Maresca on this save. And when I played them, they were playing the 3-back that Frank played at Brentford. They had signed an extra centre-back. I believe they signed Van Dijk. Now that signing is unrealistic, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But the new manager coming in does actually make changes to the tactic and the way that clubs make signings. So I do think that this manager market works in the way that they intended it to, and does make the career mode a lot more interesting. There's even stuff which you might not know, which is the fact that female managers can get hired at male clubs and vice versa. As you can see, Manchester City have got this manager. I don't know if she's real, but she is a woman. And international managers are also a part of the game. As you can see, Didier Deschamps has gone from the French national team to Atletico Madrid. So the likes of Thomas Tuchel can also get hired by clubs. But overall, I just think the way that they've done the manager market, yes, some of these moves are a bit unrealistic, but I think it's very fun. And it just brings a lot of new possibility into the game. For example, you can now do a journeyman career mode properly, which is starting at a small club, doing well there, and then building your way up all the way to a big club and winning the Champions League with them. It just adds so much more variety, so much more possibility to a career mode save. I think it's probably the best feature we've had on career mode in a couple years. Now, there are a couple more smaller features like the point deduction feature, but I'm not going to be covering those in detail since they're quite straightforward. They work as intended, all cool and fun. But now we're going to be moving on to the second point of the video, which is gameplay. Now, for this year, EA advertised 2 main types of gameplay. Competitive gameplay, which was suited to Ultimate Team, and authentic gameplay, which was suited to career mode. Now, opinions may differ on this, but in my opinion, authentic gameplay is really not good. The AI is too easy, the gameplay is very boring, and the AI just doesn't attack. So most games end up being 1-0, 2-0 if you're not that great at the game. But if you're decent at the game, you're going to start smashing the AI 5, 6, 7-0. Because they just don't attack and they're so easy to break down. So in my opinion, either stick to competitive gameplay or introduce your own custom sliders. But when you do find a pair of sliders that work for you, I actually do think the gameplay miles clear of FC25. Now on FC25, the main issue I had with the game was the way that the AI behaved. In my opinion, attacking AI was just so stupid. You could never really create a nice passing goal, or very rarely at least. And defensively, at times they were incredibly hard to break down, and at times they would just basically leave open spaces for you. Now again, on authentic gameplay, in my opinion, that is still the case. But on competitive gameplay, which is what you're seeing on the screen right now, I think it's a lot better than last year. You can see the runs that the AI is making. You can combine a lot better with each other. But in my opinion, the defensive AI does also put up a decent challenge. I I also just think the way that the game feels, it's in certain ways similar to FC25, but it's almost like they've tweaked it. It's like FC25's better brother. Left stick dribbling is back better than ever. Like, as you can see, even with a player like Viktor Gyökeres, when you're left stick dribbling, you can get through players quite easily. And that just makes the game so much more fun to play because you can actually create some very cool goals. You can pass, you can dribble. There's so much variety to the ways that you can score on this game. As opposed to FC25, which was just, in my opinion, some of the worst gameplay we've ever had on any FIFA. But yeah, the gameplay miles ahead of FC25. And genuinely some of the best gameplay we've had in FIFA in a long time. Now we'll move on to the third point, which is things you didn't know. Now, the first one is a new feature, which some of you might know about, but it is the deeper simulation feature. So what you can do is, before you start a career mode, you can select 5 leagues for deeper simulation, and it will basically simulate those leagues with the same level of detail as the league you're playing in. So for my Man United save, I've selected the top 5 leagues, so you can see, I can even see the results of their cups, their relegation playoffs, all that stuff. But more than that, when I go into their leagues, I can click on every single club and see how each of their players have done. I can see their top goal scorers, their best performers, the average rating of their players. This makes career mode so much more in-depth in my opinion because you can make signings based on merit instead of just picking the best wonder kid or looking at who's the highest rated that you can buy. You can look at someone like Mika Bierith, who scored 19 goals last season. Now, he is 85 rated 5 seasons into the save, but you might not have gone for him if you didn't know how well he performed. It can add so much more variety to the way that you make signings. And as you can see here for the player stats, it's the same thing. You can go to simulated competition. You can see who is the top goal scorer in the Bundesliga, which is, wow, it's Rian and Gamoa on this save, which is mental. But there you go, 82 rated, 21 goals. If I need a goal scoring winger, would I have gone for him otherwise? Maybe not, but now I would consider him. One thing in relation to the manager market, which is a bit unfortunate in my opinion, is that a lot of the lower league managers are actually just made up people. So if you were thinking of doing a League 2 save or a League 1 save and going up against the manager of a club you support or just someone that you know, yeah, I'm going to have to disappoint you there. None of them are in the game. I believe in England, it's just the Championship and the Premier League managers who are actually in the game. Even that could be wrong because I'm not fully clued up on the Championship. But in a lot of the other competitions, the second tiers and even some of the first tiers, they're made up names. Another change, which I'm not a personal fan of, but you can obviously judge it for yourself, is the way that you renew contracts has changed on FC26. It's no longer like previous years where you can just go in and negotiate with players whenever you feel like. They actually come to you in your messages and send you a message that they are ready to renegotiate their contract. And only then can you go in and renew their contract. I'm not a fan of that change, but you know, that's up to you. Maybe it's a bit more realistic, but I'm not the biggest fan of this one. And then the final thing, which you might not have known that I want to touch on, is that a lot of new leagues have been added to Live Start Point. So maybe for those of you who wanted to do a League 2, League 1 Live Start Point, or the French, German, Italian second tier, Spanish second tier, or even an obscure league like the Netherlands, Poland, Portugal. Some of these were already in FC25, but some of them are new to FC26, so there's a lot of new options for the Live Start Point career modes. But let's move on to the fourth point of this video, which is the unfixed bugs on FC26. Now, the first one, and this is genuinely one that drove me insane on FC25, so I can't believe they haven't fixed it, but when you finish 4th in the Premier League, which should get you Champions League football, but an English team wins the Europa League, you do not get Champions League football. You will be put into the Europa League. In real life, obviously, that would just mean that 5 English teams go to the Champions League, but not on FC26. On FC26, just like FC25, if you finish 4th and an English team that aren't in the top 4 win the Europa League, you will be put into the Europa League yourself, and that team goes to the Champions League instead of you. And the same thing goes for all the other major leagues where the top 4 goes to the Champions League. Second unfixed bug. Now, you might not think this is a bug. In my opinion, it is, because it shouldn't take this long. Player position changes on FC26. Still as annoying as FC25. Take a player like McTominay, who, as you can see, his backup position is literally cam, but if I want to make him a cam, it will take over 2 years. Other famous ones like Grimaldo, turning him to a left back, or Frimpong turning him into a right back, those also still take about 2 seasons. Just like on FC25, these player position changes are just incredibly unrealistic and take way too long. And I really hope that this is something that they fix at some point this year. And then the final one that I want to touch on, again, not necessarily a bug, but the social media on FC26, just as boring, just as bland, just as useless as it was on FC25. The comments still a lot of the time don't make any sense. The posts are boring and basically the same as last year, and it just adds nothing to the game in my opinion. But let's move on to the final bit of this video, which is things that are missing from FC26 career mode, in my opinion. Now, up first, you may be wondering why I haven't actually touched on the unexpected events yet, which are a new feature for FC26. It's because I think there's a lot lacking here. I think there's certain ones like the international injury crisis or training ground bust-ups where two players fight and both get injured. Those are basically as good as they can be. You get an event, the player gets injured, he's out for a certain amount of weeks. But events like the homesick player are just so basic and flavorless. It's a player who says they're homesick. You literally have two options. You either tell them to forget about it or tell them that you can add food from their home country to the cafeteria, and that's about it. Their morale might go down a little bit, but there are no further consequences to the unexpected event. And a lot of them are like that. They don't actually add much to the game. It's basically just one screen that you get on your menu for a little bit, and that's about it. On a game like Football Manager, these types of events are a lot more fleshed out and have a lot more consequence to your career mode save. But on FC26, they're very basic. Now, my hope is that for games to come, these get more and more developed. But for FC26, I don't actually think they add that much to the game. The Youth Academy on FC26, for those of you that love to play with the youth, heavy pause right there, by the way, unchanged. Literally unchanged. The way that you scout them is the exact same thing. Not that that is the part that I had an issue with. The youth tournaments are the exact same thing. The way that the development works is the exact same thing. There are literally no changes to the FC26 Youth Academy. So if you were hoping for that, you're in for a rough time because it is the same thing as FC25. International management on FC26 is also an absolute joke. First of all, there is no manager market for the international market. Why? I don't know. Second of all, I didn't even know it was possible, but we have somehow gone down even more in the amount of international countries that we have in the game, from 29 on FC25 to 28 on FC26. In a World Cup year, we don't even have enough countries for a 32-team tournament, let alone a 48 one. And speaking of the World Cup, for those of you wondering, no, the World Cup is not licensed on FC26 career mode. It is still called the Men's International Cup. But now my final verdict, is FC26 worth the £70 you spend if you only play career mode? In my opinion, yes. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about FC26 in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.